Block, No Rock, Season 2, Episode 5, coming at you live, kinda, once again from the Nebraska Brewing Company tap room.
Let's go.
Talking about Nebraska's somewhat heartbreaking loss to the Oklahoma Sooners in Norman, 23-16. Let's talk about some of the positives. We'll get to the negatives eventually, but
You want to talk about the first positive, who we have on our show right now?
well, we're going to segue him in a little more smooth than that, but
All right, go ahead. Segue him in however you want.
well, we thought it was only fitting. We teased you about this earlier. Michigan State week. It's only right to have Brandon Reilly with us on the pod.
That's
Brandon,
right.
thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This week always brings back good memories, and hopefully a new memory can be made this year against them.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Welcome back to Season 2 of No Block, No Rock. You were our first guest ever, so thank you for that. And we've had many since then, some courtesy of you.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you coming back on.
No, yeah, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in Season 3.
That's
Yeah,
right. Let's
I was
go.
gonna say you don't even really feel like a guest. Like you're one of us.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Do you want to be?
yeah.
Okay, hey, but positives. For the third week in a row, we're saying Adrian. No, I mean, look, you can say he had a turnover. It was a punt.
Yeah.
And it was one of the greatest interceptions of all time. It'll be, all over SportsCenter for the next 100 years. A dumb interception.
Yeah.
But Adrian, guys, let's talk about Adrian. Again, there's just nothing that comes to mind where, boneheaded play. There's just none of that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, Brandon, what are your thoughts? Kind of like looking at Adrian and what you saw.
Yeah, I think a lot of people know I've been an Adrian fan, and he takes a lot of heat being in the spot he is. But before the season, I was pretty confident he was going to have a really good year, and maybe the first half against Illinois didn't have his best stuff, but since then, I think I don't think anyone in the right mind would say he's played poorly, and to show that against a good Sooners defense, the number 3 team, he didn't flinch, and he went toe-to-toe with Rattler, who, is one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Well, and it's funny that you say the Sooners' good defense because people aren't giving the Sooner defense credit. They were 35th coming in, and yeah, it's a Big 12 defense. They can live up to the standard of, okay, Big 12 doesn't play defense. But they were the 35th best defense in the country, and Adrian really had his way. He could do whatever he wanted. He stood in the pocket and bought time and made plays. And this is probably the best game I think I've ever seen him play, especially against real competition.
And it was on the road against the OU defense might not be technically the best that he's going to see, but probably the most gifted athletically he'll see.
Yeah, the most talented for sure.
Right. And guys, like one of the big criticisms that we had of Adrian was that, especially last year, there was no deep ball capability. But that's pretty much all we're seeing now is you're seeing the deep ball on a regular basis. The big play capabilities are coming out now that we've got some of these weapons around him.
Yeah.
Omar making plays. You got Vokalek making one of the best catches. I wish he would have scored on that, but we scored eventually, which was great.
Yeah.
Austin Allen made a few catches.
Betts.
Xavier
I mean,
Betts,
look, he's got to play more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got to find a way. And I know he's a young guy. He's got a lot going on in the mind, school stuff, football.
Sure.
Offenses are complicated, but you got to find a way to get him on the field because he shows everyone when he's out there, a big play is always a possibility. And going back to the the Oklahoma defense, and they're not the best defense, but they're good. And when you play a team like Oklahoma, you have to keep their offense off the field.
Mm-hmm.
And so long, sustainable drives. That's how you beat a really good offense is keep them off the field. And, we were getting first downs. We were moving the ball. And, they had some players. That number 11, I don't know his last name, but you'll be seeing him on Sunday.
Okay.
And, just to back up, these stats with Adrian, he's 8th in the nation in yards per attempt. He is top 20 in passer rating, 7th in overall passing yards. He's 8th in QBR. And Nebraska had more yards per play than Oklahoma. So, I mean, if I'm looking at the offense, I mean, we'll talk about the running game or lack thereof a little later. But again, Adrian just coming through when we need him. I hope that we can get that running game going because how do I want to put this?
He can only handle so many carries.
You
Long
know-
season in the Big Ten, and we seem to only. I guess not only good runs with him. Ramir Johnson ran the ball hard. I mean, he's
Agree.
not the biggest running back, but he didn't flinch, and he kind of came out of nowhere.
I was thoroughly shocked when I saw Ramir
Seriously.
Johnson as RB1 last week, and he
Yeah.
ran hard, just like you said, and he is probably one of our fastest backs, if not the fastest running back we have. And he actually ran with some power. He ran like he deserved to be the running back number one. And I'm really confused of this running back situation
Seriously.
because we thought Stepp would be the guy because he had a really good game, and then we thought, oh, Gabe Irvin, he kind of showed out, and then unfortunately Gabe probably out for the year.
Probably.
But now it's a carousel, and it's a good problem to have. I'm not mad about it, but
Right.
I would like to see somebody take that job.
Yeah, it was notable that, I mean, Ramir, I'll admit that I kind of wrote him off like, it's just Ramir. He's this little guy who won't last in the Big Ten. But like you said, I mean, he ran hard. Like if you look at the numbers, it was, 11 carries for like 42 yards. It's not going to stand out in the stat book. But you can just tell like he does have that extra gear to him. He looks a little different. He's got that next level of speed that the other running backs probably don't have. So
Yeah, and I think like Mike, I was super confused that we saw Ramir come out there first, right? But I will say it's something I haven't thought about up until Saturday was the fact that they're grading these players every single week, and the reason we keep seeing different names every Saturday is because these dudes are grading out better than the other 4 or 5 every single week. There's a change, right? So it means there's a healthy competition in the running back room.
Absolutely.
So I've never thought of that before, and it just kind of struck me like today watching the press conference. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that brings the best out of other guys because if they're getting passed up, they're gonna maybe study more. They're gonna play a little harder, and I'll be the first to say when Ramir was in, I looked, I'm like, why is he starting? And I was watching my buddy Zach Stirrup who played and a couple other guys, and his first run he kind of ran over a guy like right after I had said this, and Zach goes, "That's exactly why he's in." I'm like, "Yeah."
He's like,
I'll be the first to say it surprised me.
Yeah.
hey,
And-
Brandon, so back to when you played, was there any healthy competitions that maybe either you saw or maybe even you experienced when you played at Nebraska?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our receiver room alone. I mean, we had a lot of good guys, and it was healthy competition. We wanted everyone else to make plays. We weren't selfishly, but we knew if we didn't have our best foot forward, we weren't going to get the ball or see the field. And then the running back room, I'll never forget. Divino Zigbo's freshman year, we had a late night scrimmage, and he made some plays, and I'm like, who is this guy? He is going to play. But I'm like, oh, we're pretty deep at running back. We had Newbie and a bunch of guys, and sure enough, he made it out there on the field, and he brought Newbie and those guys to the next level also.
Okay.
Awesome.
And just going back to Ramir for a second, I mean, there was that draw play with Adrian where he scored that touchdown from a few yards out. And I think Ramir was the lead blocker on
Yeah.
that.
He was.
And I'm like, okay, my bad for writing you off. Like,
Yeah.
this dude's going out there and he's laying the wood on someone. There's a lot of want to behind that.
I feel with him too. I feel, if you're a player, you're not dumb. If fans are talking bad or writing you off, and I feel the last year or so people kind of forgot about him, and I think in his mind, he finally had that opportunity, and he wasn't going to back down from it. And there's a play going around Twitter where it was kind of a busted play. They had a few open guys in the hole, and they show Cam Jurgens, they show Ramir. I think Damon Benning's the one he highlighted. He said, just watch 51 and 14's effort.
Mm-hmm.
And you see Cam Jurgens pulling and sending a dude 5 yards.
Oh, yeah.
And Ramir lowering the shoulder and a linebacker and kind of run him over. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, the 1-2's there. And if we just stop shooting ourselves in the foot so much,
Mm-hmm.
we're right there. And, I think Frost said today, if we play fast and precise, we can hang with anyone. And I truly believe that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, and another thing Scott said in regards to the running backs today, He was talking about, like this rotation in this competition. And he's being completely on. First I kind of was like, okay, it's going like coach talk. Like he has a guy. And now I'm like, okay, no, he really doesn't have a guy. And this is a real competition. And he's like, yeah, Ramir played hard. And now he's saying your boy Starvin Marvin might be playing a little bit into the competition as well. So we'll see who's going to line up at running back next week. We have no idea.
Yeah.
And neither do defenses.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel, if you're playing power football or, against good competition, you need a few backs. Yeah, I agree. You probably need that horse. But, I look at like the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
They got Nick Chubb, probably their horse, but Kareem Hunt, he's not a slouch either.
No.
And then, even I like, I'm a big Bills fans, and they got Singletary and Moss, and they're rotating, keeping them fresh. And, I think if you get 2-3 backs and, when they're in there, they know they have to make that rush count. I think it's only better for the team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping for like a little more Sevion, but he only had one carry.
And he went back home, too.
He's back home. It's
yeah.
like, dang, show him a little more love.
I saw his mom in the stands. She had her Sevion Morrison jersey on, and I was like, man, I bet he's going to get a lot of touches today. And, Ramir, he kind of took over, so I see why he kept playing.
Yeah. Another positive, guys. The unit, led by probably the best coach on the staff, Chins, again, did enough to win the game. The pass defense held, like you said, Brandon Rattler. They contained him enough. And I was even watching the game, and they were resorting to a trick play. I think, was that in the fourth quarter? It's like, wow, this defense must be doing enough to make Oklahoma feel like they need to change up their look or whatever. It's like, dang, I was hoping Nebraska would be the one to do the trick plays and kind of be a little more nuts with it.
Feel like they have to, yeah.
Yeah. But Oklahoma felt like they had to mix something up.
Yeah, you should have seen my Oklahoma family sitting there watching that game, and I remember I was like, "What did you guys predict it would be 7-3 at half?" And they're like,
7-3.
"Hell no! Like, come on, bro."
7-3.
Yeah.
Look, if you would have told me that last week, it's going to be 7-3 going into half.
I would have smacked you.
I would have been
dummy.
Doing jumping jacks and push-ups. And
I would have bet the first half.
Right.
Hey, man.
Well, and Lincoln Reilly is probably one of the best offensive minds in college football.
Yeah.
And you could honestly say that Eric Chenander and Scott Frost probably outcoached Lincoln Reilly on the game on Saturday.
Yeah, they held them to, was it 21 points? Because, they had the blocked field goal with the, that doesn't count. Great. The only thing is stopping the run, which I am concerned about. Oklahoma didn't commit to the run.
I can't believe it because they were gashing.
They were spreading them out, and Henrich was on skates a little bit. And I'm hoping that when we get in a Big Ten play where guys aren't as shifty, I guess, that'll kind of shore up a little bit. But if OU would have committed to the run, I think they probably would have scored a few more times. They average like 5.5 yards per carry.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm worried about, especially going into Michigan State. You know what they're going to do.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's part of the defensive game plan, though. I think they were playing more of a soft zone because they aired out enough, and I think Chins was willing to give up those 5-yard runs because he knew the other downs would make up for it.
Yeah.
Early though they had a few 3rd and longs where I think if we could have got them off the field, it was frustrating. And the one, it was a good design receiver screen where he came across the field.
Oh, I can't.
It's not a
stoop, and it's not a pick play. But it's a blindside block.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And, I see, you throw the ball behind the line. It's not a pick, but in this day and age, a blindside block, I guarantee you if Cam Jurgens would have did that, they were throwing a flag.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it was 3rd and 7. That was a big play. It was the first drive of the game.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma, they had just got a 3rd and
11.
3rd and 11, like the third down before that. And so you felt like our defense, we were ready. We were set up in the right spot. And then you get this blindside block, and I was sitting next to an Oklahoma fan that I don't even know, and the guy was like, dude, that's offensive pass interference. Yeah. And these fans were really nice and knowledgeable and honestly a really good experience, but they were, even the Oklahoma fans were like, well, we got away with it, so I'm not mad about it. But
right.
yeah, I'm with you. It was definitely a blindside block after looking at the replay.
For sure.
I could hear all the boos on TV right after that. I could just hear Nebraska fans screaming on the TV.
No doubt. It just seemed like we just need a few things more to go our way. We're right there, and we can't catch that lucky bounce, it seems. But I'll give it to the defense, though. You have a few bad breaks the first drive. You give up a touchdown. Your offense gets the ball, keep shooting themselves in the foot, somehow miraculously get 3 points, and they stayed with it and kept us in it.
Well, and the defensive backs. Let's talk about them a little bit, because Cam Taylor-Britt actually went out in this game, and Braxton Clark came in, and they took a shot on Braxton Clark right when he got in the game, and I was like, it's coming, and it happened. And Braxton Clark, he defended a good athlete in the Oklahoma receiver.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, Quentin Newsome is still balling out. And in my opinion, Quentin Newsome is probably the best corner on the team.
Yeah, Cam, and I'm a big Cam fan, and he knows that. But I think he'd tell you, he's struggled a bit this year, and you have a lot of hype coming in. You're one of the best corner DBs in the country. You got a lot of pressure, and I think with Big Ten play, I think everyone will really see Cam Taylor-Britt flip the switch a little bit and switch up and play a little bit better. But yeah, Newsome, especially coming in, it was a cornerback battle. He wasn't guaranteed to start, and he's kind of locked down that spot.
Well, and going back to maybe your time playing, did you ever see any competitions like that on the defensive side? I don't remember the DBs that you played with, but I mean, these guys are all talented, and I think Travis Fisher's doing a really good job.
He is. Yeah, now I really got to think back who we all had, I'm trying to think what year. It might have been my sophomore, junior year. At safety, they'd moved Nate Gary back there, and we had Leroy Alexander, who had very good ball skills, and he was a player. And we had Corey Cooper back there, and kind of like we were talking about the running back earlier. They all kind of played a little bit and made each other better. And then corners, I think corners are the dumbest guys on the field because they have the shortest memory. They'll get beat for 5 go routes, and they'll defend one, and they'll act like you haven't caught a pass all day.
Coming from a receiver, right?
Yeah, they got the biggest ego. I mean, Josh Mitchell, he was the one. And Josh Mitchell weighed probably 160 pounds, and he was probably the baddest dude on the defense. But he was a guy where you catch 3 on him, and he deflects one, he's in your face. It's like, dude, you don't remember?
or if the receiver drops it, and they're like,
yeah,
no, not my house. Get out.
Exactly.
Jeez, man.
But Josh Mitchell, I give it to him. If every guy on defense had his mentality, man, they'd be tough because he was the smallest dude on the field always, and he played hard.
Yeah, and look, just bigger picture, coming into this year, the defense was supposed to be the strength, and so far they lived up to the bill. They're ranked, and I love putting numbers in this pod. I love it.
Yeah.
28th in points per game allowed, top 30. And they're 53rd in total yards per game allowed. So, again, I was saying as long as they're in that top 50 range, as long as the offense does their thing, they should be winning games. And they just played the number 3 team in the country. If after this week, we'll see.
You have to have at least a decent defense to make it that far. So, I mean, they're no slouch, right?
Yeah.
This defense is going to finish in the top 25. I think maybe even top 15.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
They're getting better and better and better. Like, it's showing.
And guys are getting more experience and playing better. I mean, how much more confidence they have going into Big Ten play after not shutting down Oklahoma, but containing them.
I mean, they shut down Oklahoma as well as anyone ever has in the past, ever since Lincoln Reilly's been their head coach.
Well, I think 2 games ago, Rattler, we had, 5 touchdowns in the second quarter alone?
Yes. Well, and now that you say that, this is the lowest point total under Lincoln Reilly ever as the Oklahoma head coach. He's never been scored less than 27 points. So, I mean, that shows how good this defense plays.
And here I am loving the numbers, and I forget the most significant stat. They had the longest running streak in college football history with I think it was total yards or something, and then Nebraska broke the streak. It's just I don't know the exact number, but again, it just proves that this defense, I mean, they're doing what they have to do, and with the Big Ten play coming up, they're gonna have to carry us.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are concerned about the QB pressures and stuff, us not quite getting home a lot. But I do think that plays into playing against really experienced offensive lines, and then also playing against Spencer Rattler. That dude was all over the place behind, in the backfield. I mean, we'd get pressure and he'd be running past us, or he'd be running to the left, running to the right, and he extends plays, which is one of the number 1 concerns walking into that game. So
that third and 11 that he converted, it's how many quarterbacks can do that? It's like, geez,
Right.
man.
Scrambles around, but then he can just zip it. He
Gosh.
can fit in a window so quick, and yeah, that 3rd and 11. I mean, that's a hell of a throw.
I don't even know Iowa's quarterback, but I promise you, he's not going to do that.
Spencer Petras
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
probably one of the worst quarterbacks in the Big Ten.
Just be
throwing
careful.
that out there. I'm going to be careful with my words. But I'm telling you right now, if Iowa didn't have a top 5 defense, I could argue maybe the best defense in the country next to Georgia.
Right.
Iowa could have lost every game this year. Even Kent State, they didn't play very well,
Yeah,
and their defense is they're really good. I'm nervous about that game.
and I hate Iowa with the best of them, but what I give it to them also, their special teams is good,
Yep.
and they attack special teams, and they're not trying to fair catch everything, and that bugs me because it's like, as a fan now, the way we are, I hope we fair catch it because I don't think anything good's gonna happen.
Yeah, I
Right.
hold my breath
Let's-
every time.
Let's get into it.
Do you want to just dive right
Let's-
in? He
I-
segued
I
us.
let us in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
51-yard field goal is good. Woo!
After going over
Oh.
3 the game before, that's the hardest kick ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. He's back. He's back. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not okay.
No.
Look, we just talked about it last week. We're like, is it going to be a problem? And I said, if you can't make the field goals against Buffalo, you're not going to walk into Norman and kick those field goals. Like, if you're having mental issues when you step out on the field, you're going to be walking into we're going to be walking into Michigan State
East
this
Lansing,
week.
yeah.
Yeah. And the night game,
A
that
night
crowd is
game.
going to be insane. You think
Yeah.
he's about to just prance out there and start making field goals left and right? No.
Well, okay, Brandon, are yips a thing?
For kicking, it must be. I don't know.
What about receivers? Do you guys ever get yips as a receiver? Like you drop one and you're like, like
No, not really. I mean,
No.
I never did, but because I feel you got to be confident.
Yeah.
And you got to want the ball. And in golf, some people get the yips with the driver and they can't hit it. So maybe that's similar to kicking. But I mean, going back to that, if you were to tell me he had a 51 and a 50-yarder and we were 1 for 2, I'd probably say, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Right. It was just the context
then-
of everything else that happened.
Yeah.
before.
But then the next one, I think, and I heard some today, it might have been a bad hold or something, and I didn't see that, but that was a big play in the game. That was a momentum switcher. If we could have at least got points there, you never know what happens. The next extra point probably doesn't get blocked, return for 2. It was a big play in the game.
well, and
Yeah.
you. I mean, honestly, Scott Frost has got his criticisms on like, okay, sticking with this guy. He even pulled Culp for that PAT.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he was asked after the game, he thought about going for 2 to make it a 3-point game, which, I mean, hindsight's 2020. I wish he would have at least
Yeah.
tried it.
Sure.
But, because...
Me at home, I said we should go for 2 before that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I trust him, you know.
Yeah, but the Kellen Meyer, I brought it up last week. I was like, hey, he's got a big leg, kid from Ord, Nebraska, going to come in and maybe take this job from Connor Culp. And then that happens. They blame it on the blocking assignments, but I think the ball was just a very low kicked ball to begin with, and then
I mean, if you watch the line, I mean,
It was a combination, I think.
yeah, a little bit
The
of
guard
both.
getting blown up and a low kick, but what I was disappointed was the effort after.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're the kicker, you're probably the fastest guy on the kickoff team. You probably have the best chance to slow him up, try to get him down. And, I mean, I'm sure he was shocked. He didn't expect to get blocked and returned, but he kind of was jogging, and I'm sure they addressed that. I'm sure he wished he had it back, but you got to just move on, I guess.
yep.
Culp would have tackled him.
Here
maybe.
we go.
I
Here
don't
we
know.
go. Yeah.
A bright spot, our punter, he did well.
Yeah,
yeah.
yes.
2 50-yard punts, I think.
Mhm.
William Pristep
Yeah.
just
Pristep-
comes out of nowhere, and we were dogging on him a little bit in season 1, and last year he didn't really have a good year, and we thought, okay, what's his name? Cerny will be the guy,
Mhm.
and Cerny really hasn't shown up much.
I mean, he
And-
just has that style of
The
kick.
rugby style, but it's not even a
It-
rugby style, because usually like rugby style is low kicks that just kind of bounce and roll, and he doesn't even do that. So I don't know.
So now you know why Pristup's out there.
Yeah, I get
I don't
it.
know. you
And
know?
it is Michigan State week, and Pristep did play for Michigan State. So
Mhm.
fun fact.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to watch other teams more and see what their punters are like. You know, obviously in the past we've been spoiled by who we had, and
Sam.
ever since my guy Fultz,
Right.
you know, he was the best of the best, and ever since then it just went downhill significantly.
Yeah, we need Fultzy to lift this curse that's been going
Yeah.
on.
We need to find some farmer, Western Nebraska dude who can just punt the shit out of it.
Hell yeah.
Well, and like your point of watching other teams, like, you know, we watch Nebraska every week. We watch every snap. So yeah, everything is going to stand out that much more. That Oklahoma mistake by Mims recovering it when it could have went out of bounds.
That was great.
And it's like,
We're not alone.
what is he doing? I don't even think a Nebraska player would do that.
Hey, easy there. Easy.
I'm just saying.
When I watched that play, I thought of Kyle. It was probably 3 or 4 episodes ago. Kyle talked about how smart the player was smart and went out of bounds and touched the ball, and that's a penalty.
Yeah, one foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah.
And so that's what I thought. Oh, maybe that's what he was thinking about doing. But the fact that he literally grabbed it and just rolled out of bounds, I'm like, you are a dumbass.
Yeah. I would like to ask him that question. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
Well, I think it was just kind of with the CTB thing versus Illinois. It's just like trying to make a play. The ball's right there. You don't even think. You just try to do something.
Make a play. He ran out of bounds. At least pick it up and run.
He saved the onside kick, I guess. But it's about the only positive.
I will say though, like with Culp's struggles, like who knows if Meyer's going to come back in and try to kick 50-yarders to replace him. But it's just like it gets me thinking. Is this going to force, Frost and Lubick to be a little more aggressive with their play calling and maybe not be a little conservative when they get in that area? It's like, are they going to open it up a little more, aggressive?
I'm glad you brought that up. Usually you get into the plus territory, our side of the 50 going to score.
Mm-hmm.
You get 2nd and 1, you take a shot.
Let's go.
And the first 2 times we were conservative, and then we were 3rd and medium. And then late in the game, I could be wrong, but I think it was either to Allen or Vokalek, a pass over the middle or deep. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was 2nd and short. And I'm like, that's what we needed the first 2 times.
Yep.
You can't, especially against a high-power offense, Oklahoma, you can't settle for field goals. I mean,
right.
That's like if you're playing the Chiefs. You can't settle for field goals. You got to put up touchdowns because they are. Shout out to you,
fourth and 1, go for it. You want to go for it? Man, of course.
Well,
the ball back
if we had Lamar Jackson, I'd go for it every time too. Just saying. That guy's a freak.
He's unreal.
It just still looks a little disorganized. Like you have timeouts being called out of. It's like
after the kick return.
You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Not in year 4, dude. We can't be doing this.
I don't know what happened there because you don't take that timeout after the kick return. You have another timeout at the end that saves 40 seconds.
40 seconds, yeah.
And your play calling can change up that last drive a little bit, especially in college. First down, clock stops.
Yeah, that was tough because, you have your 4-year starter, and if the play's not in or whatever, just in my opinion, just take the penalty, especially in the 4th quarter like that. It's like you get those timeouts are gold. Yeah. And the fact that you had to waste one after a freaking long-ass media timeout, come on now.
Yeah, 5 yards, you'll take at that point rather than 40 seconds later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but that really – because I think, honestly, Adrian could do whatever he wanted against Oklahoma, but when it came down to crunch time, the O-line kind of really fell apart at the end there, and Adrian tried to do more than he probably should have had to do.
It's tough. But, I mean, if you have 40 more seconds, they drop 8 and rush 3 hard. You can hit them with a draw. You can get 10, 15 yards. Then you get kind of rolling. And play call. I mean, the playbook opens a lot when you have a minute 40 or whatever versus, a minute or whatever.
Yeah. And I will say on the offensive line, Cam Jurgens is a dude.
A dog.
That dude, okay, I think everybody in the state has had doubts because he wasn't a center. And then he's had 2 years worth of issues with snapping the ball. And then this year, no issue snapping. And the dude is driving guys 40 yards downfield. That one penalty he got for the unnecessary roughness.
Yeah.
Bullshit. That was awful.
The whistle didn't even blow yet.
He was 40 yards downfield just driving this dude back to the bus.
That's so athletic.
Yeah.
That's like the blind side, just taking him to the parking lot.
Yeah.
Tell me how many centers in college football, we'll even go to the NFL, how many centers can pull? Like you're pulling your center on some run plays and he's your lead blocker. You know how athletic you have to be to get on the edge and beat your running back to the edge?
Yeah.
Just one arm some guy.
And Frost said it initially. He's like, Cam Jurgens could be, an All-American center. And I think it took a while. Obviously came in as a tight end.
Yep.
It took a while to transpire, but I think people are seeing it and I'm seeing it. And, I know Michigan State linebackers are watching film. They're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Right.
Watch where 51's this week because he's going to put me on my ass.
He's coming after you. Yeah.
I mean, the offensive line, it's probably not our strongest suit right now.
No.
But I mean, you look at Cam, and it's like, damn, if only we could shore up the guards and tackles around them.
Yeah, and that's something like I want to say I told you so, because I said like they hyped him up all off season, and I'm like, man, I don't know, they seem kind of young. Like I don't know, I don't see what they're doing in practice, obviously, but like it always seems like there's somebody that's hyped up every off season, and then they come out and they're just like not that great. They're just young. Like,
and they even brought in Prohaska.
Yeah,
you know,
as like
46. Yeah, as like a tight end or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like you got to mix it up. You got to try to get as many big dudes on the field as you can, because that old line is not looking very good.
I hear people talking, you know, put the big dude from Elkhorn at left tackle and move Turner inside. I'm like, I don't know. Left tackle as a true freshman. I'm not saying he can't do it, but that's a tough spot to be when you got some of these talented DNs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and Turner's, I mean, he's got the size to be a Big Ten tackle. He played well against Rutgers last year.
Oh, great. I about bought his jersey.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on it. He was unreal.
He wasn't even 69 then.
He'll probably sign it for you there, Brandon.
But yeah, I mean, if I were them, I'd probably be looking at the guard positions. I think the guards have really been getting that inside push when we're running inside the tackles has been the problem. When we're running to the edge, we're getting more yards, and we're pulling the tight ends, we're getting more yards. It's just in between the tackles is tough, and we're not executing.
Right.
But let me flip it on the positive side of the O-line. Adrian had a lot of time to throw the ball in the first, especially in the first half.
He did, yeah.
So the pass pro honestly wasn't that bad. So we can beat on the offensive line, but their pass pro was pretty damn good against Oklahoma, who has a daunting D-line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you can't really recall him running for his life like he did against Illinois. Like, it just didn't really I can't really recall anything like that.
Well, part of that is because the defense got to him so goddamn fast. Like, he didn't have time to run. You know, he was just kind of getting swallowed up. Like, especially that last drive. I mean, he snapped the ball, and all of a sudden he was getting tackled. Like, he didn't have a prayer.
Yes, that drive, and then the one right after Betts' long catch.
Yeah,
you know, it's a broken play.
Mm-hmm.
Then Turner gets beat in a millisecond, and he gets sacked. And then I don't even know what happened after that. But he gets sacked again. It was third and 18, and then fourth and 18 or something. He throws a pick.
Yeah,
it's just like, God, we're right there. Just a couple plays. Just give him at least a second.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. You know, what are we taking away from this relatively solid performance? Are they close, like everybody keeps saying? Still a lot of work to do. Like, where are we at with this game going forward?
The biggest thing that struck me was that the talent level didn't seem like there didn't seem like there was a gap,
a big discrepancy.
Yeah,
right.
Because like, okay, so you look at, you know, Nebraska playing Fordham, even with the mistakes that we were making and things like that. Like, obviously we were just outmanning them because we had the better talent. Then you look at Nebraska OU, and if the talent gap was really that bad, those mistakes that we were making, it would have showed on the scoreboard.
True.
But we were just even talented, I think.
Yeah. I think going into the game, I think you could say 90% of the state was wanting to get rid of Frost. After that game, I think that number decreases significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he came in with the hell of a game plan and execute it. My only thing was the use of timeouts. Yep. But other than that, the game plan of limiting Oklahoma's offensive possessions, just long, sustainable drives, is what he wanted. It was the perfect game plan, and for the most part, we executed that. And you know, I think we took 2 steps up, but you know, that doesn't do much if you go backwards this week.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I like to go back to the game at Ohio State where it was 36-31, and you know, people are like, is this going to be the moment that turns the tide? They're close. And then we had the seasons after where it just didn't come together. And so, yeah, people can say we're close. And look, my expectations were low going into this game. Just don't embarrass yourselves on national television. They didn't do that. There were plays here and there where it was like, really? Like, that's kind of silly. That's Nebraska. You know, you scoff at it. Oh, that's Nebraska. But overall, they didn't embarrass themselves. You have to put together like a strong month. Let's go a strong month of just looking like a competent football team. That's how you'll know you're close. It's not one game in a vacuum where maybe Oklahoma just didn't really get up that game. It's like, let's put together a full month. Let's go to East Lansing and let's win, right? Like, let's just not keep it close. Let's not, we kept it within a touchdown. No, let's go out and win. You showed against OU. You can put together a solid game. You have the talent, so just do it now. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, and I know some are moral victory guys and some aren't. I'm going to be in the middle here. It's like, okay, yeah, no, a moral victory shouldn't matter. But when you're in a rebuilding mode like Nebraska has been, and, and Scott, his seat is as hot as it's been. And Scott showed up. He outcoached Lincoln Reilly, which usually you could say Scott gets outcoached in most games. Unfortunately, he's young and he makes mistakes as a head coach. I think some of it is, just an ego type thing.
Hubris, yeah.
But this is the first time I think where Scott actually outcoached the guy across from him. And unfortunately, we didn't get the win. So I think it all comes down to Saturday. If we play well against a ranked Michigan State team, we're a dog in this game.
On the road, night game. You finally get a night game. If you show up, then you'll know where this program's going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Oklahoma, I think that was like the first time we actually saw that like no fear of failure motto that he's been living by since he's been here. They just looked loose. They looked like they were fast. Like they like nobody was overthinking anything, right? So, yeah, heading into Michigan State, you should feel good as a football team, and I think you should try to perform well, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. I just hope, I'm cautiously optimistic. I just hope that doesn't change after Saturday.
Right.
Yeah, they look solid against Buffalo. Awesome. Like, I don't want to count for them.
Yeah.
They look solid against Buffalo, look solid against OU. Let's look solid again. Scott Frost, you could argue that he outcoached Lincoln Reilly. I'm not going to sit here and disagree and be like, no, it's wrong. Outcoach Mel Tucker now. Like, let's just keep outcoaching dudes.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have your bad game where the other guy outcoaches you, but string together a few games.
Yeah. Michigan State is not as complicated as Oklahoma. They're just not. Their offensive plan is literally just run the ball and play action all game long. Yeah. That's it. So you shouldn't have an issue. You're not worried about a quarterback that can run. You're not worried about some crazy-ass trick plays with some really high-speed dudes on the outside. Like, Michigan State is just it's a Big Ten team, right?
They're Iowa, right?
Yeah. They're a fairly simple game plan. So I just hope you see that in the game.
Yeah. I think the running back leads college football in rushing, and
Kenny Walker,
and we know what they're going to do. They're not hiding it. And now it's just, can you stop them or not?
Yeah. Everybody's focus, right, is stopping Adrian Martinez, because you stop him, you stop everything. Mm-hmm. So you stop this running back, you have a pretty good chance.
8.5 yards per carry.
Well, and before we really dive into Michigan State, should we take a break, refill our drinks, and talk about our sponsor?
Let's do it.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, just waiting for Mike to get back from getting his little NBC seltzer. What seltzer you got there?
I'm drinking the mango seltzer. So like we said in a couple episodes ago, Nebraska Brewing Company does have seltzers. So I just tried the first one here. This is mango.
That looks pretty crisp.
And everybody's in the seltzer game, and Nebraska Brewing Company right on par with everybody else. So that's good.
So me and Brandon, we're drinking the Taco Vesa. Are you also drinking the Taco Vesa?
I am also drinking the Taco Vesa.
Brandon, how you liking the Taco Vesa?
Well, I'm on my second one, and I didn't think about getting anything else, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And look, again, Connor, we want to thank you for letting us invade the NBC tap room to record this episode, and it's been a fruitful partnership so far.
Absolutely.
Let's cheers to this, guys.
Hey,
let's go get that clink.
There you go.
Hopefully that picked up on the mic. But let's get back to the episode.
Yeah.
Let's kind of touch on Michigan State just a little bit more. I know we already did, but the main thing with Michigan State, it's like they're Iowa. Stop the run. I mentioned my concerns before with, Oklahoma kind of spacing us out with those shifty backs and putting our linebackers on skates a little bit. I don't think it's going to be like this with Michigan State. It's going to be, okay, there's your face. Now we're going to go boom, boom. So we have to be ready for that. The quarterback play is probably not going to be spectacular, right? But yeah, stop the run. 8.5 yards per carry for their lead back. He's come through in these first couple weeks. one of the top backs in college football. So
Yeah. Big game for the linebackers coming up, but I also think it's a big game for old 99 and 95.
mm-hmm.
Still
and Robinson.
Yeah. Robinson, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's a stud. He's kind of have a quiet year, but, D tackles usually have quiet years unless you're Ndamukong Suh.
Right.
Especially this game, you know what they're going to do, and those big guys clog it up, and old Big Dan, Big 97, and who's the other big guy in there?
Damian.
Yeah, Damian.
Snacks.
Those two clogging it up, and then the other guys. Then you got, I like calling Bobby Boucher, old Garrett Nelson.
Yeah. That's a perfect example.
Coming off the edge. I like Garrett. That kid, he works his ass off, and I think it'll be a big game for the D line to clog it up, and then and let those linebackers run through holes and make some plays.
Yeah. So how concerned is everybody for them like running to the outside? Because I feel like it's starting to kind of show there's a pattern there where other teams are running to the outside and they're being fairly successful with it.
Well, I hope that what Brandon was saying about maybe it was just a game plan, because if we shift back to Buffalo, they're a very heavy run-oriented team, and we shut them down. So I think it's in this defense's DNA to stop the run. I think it was a different game plan for Oklahoma because we knew they were going to try to sling it all over the yard.
Yeah.
So I'm not super concerned about running outside, but I guess we'll see on Saturday.
I think, too, when you got two safeties that like to hit like the way they do, and, it just depends on the coaching. Do you trust the corners and safety being able to lock up one-on-one? Because if so, you add an extra guy in the box. That makes it a lot more difficult on those O-linemen and those lead blockers on their team if you got all those hats in the hole, and, that's where you get an advantage.
Yeah, and I don't think you should be concerned about keeping people one-on-one out there.
I don't think
they've
so
been
either.
playing well.
I agree.
I was going to say, and the difference between OU and Michigan State is OU has those world-class 5-star wide receivers out there where you probably need to play zone. You probably can't do man-to-man.
Yep.
So maybe with Michigan State, you'll be able to do that and stack the box a little more.
Yeah, and Deontay Williams, he might impress me the most of anyone on that defense so far this year. He seems to always be flying around the field at the ball, and that dude is not scared to hit anybody. I'll tell you that.
Oh, he's big.
Well, and he actually wraps up. I will say his counterpart in Dismuke.
Yeah.
The dude is like a
Goes for the
legitimate
kill shot.
Yeah, he is a headhunter and does not wrap up at all. He's
See,
going for the big hit or
He
the
did
missed
that.
tackle.
He did that when I was there.
Yeah.
He probably got you in practice a few times.
Yeah.
Nah, he knew better.
Yeah.
No, I like Markel a lot though, and he's come a long way. So when I was there, I was like, yeah, he might see the field some, and he's grown as a person and as a leader, and I hear a lot of good things, and for me, I'm proud to watch and see how he's playing.
It was him that saved. There was a big pass, right, like right to the end zone. I don't know how long of a pass it was, but he was right behind the receiver, and he stopped the pass. So I mean, he just I don't know. He just doesn't look like he gets beat very often, and he's fast, he's big, and yeah.
I'm looking forward to it once we start this Big Ten play and really get going and see how our defense stacks up.
You guys, we're already a third through the season.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
Going into this game, most of us predicted 3-1, but we're 2-2. The season starts now.
Illinois, man, they're not going to win another game this year.
Yeah, they are god awful.
It's a trap game, guys. I mean, honestly, it was a perfect trap game for Scott Frost, and he fell into it. And you just have to just take your lumps and move on. And I think this staff, they've done that, and this team has really showed it on the field.
Yeah.
So,
If you're trying to get to a bowl game, got to win.
Yeah. They could have laid down against Oklahoma and got embarrassed, and they stood toe to toe with them, and I keep saying you can't let up, and you got to keep stacking days and moving forward.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the result of the Oklahoma game, and this is something we've talked about a couple times now, is that Nebraska hasn't had like a warm-up game. Brandon, how important are those games where you've got Fordham and Buffalo back-to-back? Now, had you moved those two games to your first two games, then you go into Illinois, and then you go into Oklahoma, there's a big difference there.
Yeah, I mean, first game, and no matter how much you prepare, game speed and everything in a game environment's different, and a lot of teams are rusty. You go to the NFL, there's a lot of rustiness in week one, and those are the best of the best. And, it's tough. And, yeah, unfortunately, we had a lot of rustiness against Illinois, and
Mhm.
it's tough to look back on, especially the next week they lose to Texas, San Antonio, or
Yeah.
something. It's a tough pill to swallow, but
Yeah.
then you stack a few good wins, and then you play tough against Oklahoma. It showed, after that first week they could have laid down and just folded the season. Really,
Yeah, it's a pace setter for the rest of the year. It could have been.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about not letting Oklahoma don't let it linger. You played great. Like, take it and piggyback it. Don't get discouraged that you lost. You played great. We're in the most important part of our season right now. Conference play, trying to get to a bowl game. This has to be one of your wins. It just has to be. So
it does. And I think the defense was already confident. I think they're even more confident. And I think his confidence is probably through the roof. And he's getting confidence from more guys around him. He trusts that they know what they're doing. If you get more snaps from Betts and Manning, that stretches the defense. I would always say if we could get 3 go balls a game to those, that spaces everything out. And I don't care which one it's to, because they're both fast, they can both jump, and they can both make plays.
Well, and Omar really displayed it in Oklahoma. We see those every Saturday, good quarterbacks and good receivers making those plays, but we really haven't seen it happen at Nebraska. And the fact that Adrian put the ball on the money and he used his receiver size and his ability to go up and get the ball, it was a great thing to watch.
that's a great point because, I forgot to mention, and thank God you did. It seemed like when Nebraska needed a play to be made, there's someone there to make it. Even Levi Falk had that unbelievable
that
catch.
was a great catch.
Like, you could argue that OU guy probably should have been flagged for targeting. Like, if we're going to try to tamp down on these guys trying to headhunt, like, he tried to take his head off. I mean, he missed, but
Yeah.
it seemed like there was always a guy there to make a play. Betts going deep. Omar catching that touchdown pass. That wasn't a perfect ball by any means.
Yeah.
Vokalek with the over-the-shoulder beautiful catch. It just always seemed like someone was there. And Adrian threw the ball relatively well. Let's spread it out. Hopefully it'll open the run game up, which I'm always, for, hence the hat. So
Having those 2 tight ends in the game, man, that made everything look different.
It did.
Everything looked different.
Because, those are 2 focal points for the defense, and then that opens one-on-one outside. And, Toure, he didn't do a whole lot. And it just shows if we get other guys making plays, he'll get singled up, and, he's shown he'll make plays. When Oliver Martin comes back, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's very well-rounded, and I think he's got the whole package as well. And it just shows if you got all these guys, and even when I was there, we weren't the best offense, but we were pretty good. But we had a lot of guys to go to where they couldn't key on things, and
Right.
And then you space that out, it opens the run game, and then those option plays we run, which I like how they're running that option. Those DBs and safeties are further back, you get more yards, and it's all comes together.
and I don't recall seeing that option play being run at all.
Well, they ran a speed option off to the side, and
With
Adrian
Ramir, yeah.
Yeah, they ran a
Okay,
little speed
but not
option.
with like
not the
Toure or-
not the receiver one.
No, we didn't
that.
run the receiver one.
Right.
Adrian ran a speed option of one more block, and Damon Benning, actually bringing back up Damon. Damon talked about it. Is that if this guy gets one more block, it's going to spring that play. Or instead of it being a 2-yard gain, it's a 6, 7, 8-yard gain, and that wears on our defense. So
One block, one rock.
You know what I'm saying?
See, and didn't we say it last week? We're like, hey, going into Oklahoma, do you think maybe they start doing it with the running backs? Because they're keying in on Toure running that option, and that's what they did.
I think since Toure had a quiet game last week, he had like 1 or 2 catches. I think he's going to be in full force against Michigan State. Maybe a little Brandon Reilly-esque.
Well,
We'll
yeah,
see.
and I don't blame Toure one bit. I blame the defense keying in on Toure
100%.
100%. They had to have been all over him all day, and then you got Betts, and then you got Omar.
Yeah, it's that. And if I'm a D coordinator before this game,
Mhm.
who else has made big plays besides Toure?
Make other guys prove it.
Arguably nobody.
Yeah.
So they probably bracket coverage him. But now you got these other guys making plays. D coordinators have to they got to strategize a little different. And I don't know. I don't know the coach's philosophy and mindsets, but I think they're slowly trying to work easier plays in for Betts and Manning, get those guys' confidence up, get Adrian's confidence in them that they know where they're going and what to do. And if they get everyone on the right cylinder, I mean, this is a high-powered offense.
Yeah. I mean, you watched Betts literally just run past that dude for that big one.
Gliding.
Just literally just ran past him. The guy watched him pass.
He's effortless when he runs. Man.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason that he was a top 150 kid coming out of high school. The problem is just his grades, and thank God COVID's taken a lot from us, but he's the reason that he's at Nebraska right now, and he's taking full advantage. We just got to get him the ball more. So
Yeah.
let's shift a little bit since we have Brandon Reilly in the house. Let's talk about Michigan State. What do you remember playing Michigan State? And obviously D'Antonio's not there anymore, and it's a Mel Tucker team. But do you have any? Obviously, you probably have a favorite moment against Michigan State. But what do you remember playing that team?
Yeah. When they came in, I think they were ranked number 7. We knew we were going to get their best shot, but we were confident we could take them down. And it was a full team approach from offense, defense, special teams, and obviously I get a lot of credit for that last touchdown, but the O-line, they held up great. Especially at the end of the game you saw against Oklahoma. It's tough to pass block when those pass rushers are teeing off, and they gave Tommy time, and he hit Westy twice before on deep balls, and it's a full team game, and at home, a night game in East Lansing, we're going to get their best shot. They're ranked. They've kind of struggled the last few years. They don't want to lose to us, who last few years hasn't been on the rise. And, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Nebraska's been kind of Michigan State's, I don't want to say kryptonite. That might be a little too strong, but Nebraska has always seemed to play Michigan State really well.
We're like 6-2 against them, aren't we? Since joining the Big Ten?
I don't know the exact record, but I mean, it
Sounds
seems
right.
like
Yeah.
it just seems like it, right? So let's keep that rolling, and
Yeah, I would like for another walk-off winner, but I'd like a comfortable win where I'm not stressed out. I can kick my feet up and 5 minutes left and feel good about where we're at.
Yeah.
let's get a Buffalo-esque win. How about that?
I would love like a comfortable win, like something where you saw the defense just taking over the game and the offense just doing what it needed to do to win. So that's
Look, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a slugfest to the brink. I think it's going to be really close. I don't know if we want to do any scoring predictions.
We've been really bad at that, so let's just stay away from the scoring predictions. Let's just say, let's hope for a close game that we win.
Of course,
I like that.
I mean, let's keep it simple.
And hot take: Connor Culp makes 3 field goals on Saturday.
Oh,
okay, but
Down,
hold on.
down.
Pump the brakes. Do you really send Culp out there? Like
100%.
Like Brandon, your opinion. Do you send Culp out there?
You have to.
You have
You
to?
have to.
He's been the guy for the last year and a half or so, and in the off season and spring ball and fall camp, they're all kicking. Every kick gets charted, and there's a reason he's the number one guy. And there was times in the NFL Adam Vinatieri struggled.
Yeah.
And it's just one of them kickers. If you meet a kicker that's normal, I haven't found one. They're
Yeah.
all weird. They're superstitious. It's all mental. But he's just going through it, and I think the only way out of it is to just keep pushing through it. And guys pumping him up, and he knows he can do it. I mean, you don't go from Big Ten Kicker of the Year to this, and stay like this forever. I hope not. you know?
Yeah. Well, and he came back. He's a 6-year guy. He got that COVID year free eligibility. He came back for a reason to capitalize on what he did last year and maybe make some money with his foot, but maybe not after this. You said the kickers are goofy. You played with Drew Brown. Can you talk about Drew Brown a little bit?
But he's not as goofy as the rest. He's probably the most normal kicker
Okay.
I've met. But he'd always stay to himself, or at least him and Foltz and the long snappers. They'd always just kind of hang out and do their own weird thing. But I was in Buffalo. We had Steven Husker, great kicker, probably the weirdest dude I've ever met. I mean, they'd find him in the float tank, and he'd be naked, face down with a snorkel on in the float tank. We're like, what in the world? And I mean, he'd bring like a little mat to his hotel room that's like laying on cement because he said it was good for his body. And we're like, dude, where are you reading this? But he was a lights out kicker.
You just walk by and you go, all right.
Yeah, you'd walk in the training room, they'd be like, oh, Hauska's in the float tank.
Hey, everybody, we're going to have to drain that tank before you guys get in there.
And he even knew he's weird. He'd tell you, he's like, yeah, I'm weird, but he's a damn good kicker.
Yeah.
Hey, let's hope Connor Culp walk-off kick.
Hey,
to win it.
No,
Sure.
I don't want that stress level.
You know,
for
no,
myself.
you know what?
No.
I want that stress.
No, put him in
no.
a float tank. Let's
Yeah.
put Connor Culp in a float tank
With a
this
snorkel.
week before Michigan State.
Connor, this might be your sign from No Block, No Rock. You need to get naked, hop in that tank, grab your snorkel, and let's get some fucking field goals out here, huh?
Hey, let's get weird, Connor. Let's get really weird. On
pre-
that note,
I predict up by 7. Michigan State's trying to drive, and Cam Taylor seals it with a pick.
Okay.
All right.
a little bit of a redemption arc, maybe.
Yeah.
because he's been kind of
Yeah, I said earlier he's been
Okay,
struggling,
yeah.
and he would admit that. And
Yeah,
I think this is the game he turns it around.
All
Don't
right.
make me look bad.
Yeah.
Well, my official prediction is we're gonna get real weird with Culp.
All right. That sounds good to me,
All
man.
right.
On that note, let's sign off. This is one of your hosts, Jared Hall,
Mike Delaware.
Kyle Byers.
Brandon Reilly.
and as always, beat Sparty
Hey.
and GBR.